just discovered an infinitely complex amount of noise floating around us. It's literally everywhere. And tests showed that this noise forms strings of information. It was operating at a level that we couldn't reach until now.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2021 science fiction thriller Repeat, a film that is directed by Grant Archer and Richard Miller also wrote the film. And it stars Tom England, Charlotte Ritchie and Nina Wadia. Now this film focuses on Tom England's character Ryan Moore, who is a professor who has invented a machine that allows you to communicate to the other side. Essentially, he does this almost out of necessity because he and his wife have a daughter that has gone missing, who has not been located by the police, and they are desperate to know what happens to her. So the film focuses on them, their relationship, and their continuous hunt for the daughter, and the use of this machine potentially to do so. Right. What are my thoughts on Repeat? Well, honestly, this is a subject matter that has always been of interest to me. I've been a fan of shows like Most Haunted, and fans probably in the UK will immediately know what that show is. It's probably across the world as well. So it's a subject matter that's always been fascinating to me, and I thought this film explored that subject matter and handled the subject matter carefully and sensitively. And raise some really interesting and fascinating questions. It's littered with some really impressive performances here by all the cast. Tom England and Charlotte Ritchie, in particular, who play these tortured parents. And as a parent myself, I can't fathom how difficult it must be for a parent having to face what they do in this film in regards to their child going missing, and how much of a strain it would put on their relationship, and not knowing what happened and all the questions it raises, etc., etc. So I thought it really handled that superbly, the film, that side of it, the relationship side of it, the drama associated with the film. It handled it really carefully, really well, and I thought it was superbly written from that aspect. It brings in some really emotional moments as well. There's some scenes when people realise what he has created, essentially seek him out to try and communicate with their loved ones and things like that. And so there are some really nicely filmed scenes with some nice emotional moments. And I was really on board for a good 3/4 of this film for that reason, really. For me, I felt I lost interest a little bit about 3/4 of the way through. It kind of went a bit, in the phrase of Doctor Who, it went a bit timey-wimey for me. And it went a bit too sci-fi. It felt really grounded, and it felt like the technology and the theories being used in the film felt believable to me, not being a scientist at all and not understanding any of this. It felt, real and grounded and potentially possible what he was doing. And then, like I say, it all goes a bit Back to the Future-ish and timey-wimey by the end, and it really, takes a risk and steps off that ledge by the end. But I thought it kind of went a little bit too far for my taste. So I lost a little bit of interest by the end, but I think 3/4 of the film leading up to that I thought was pitched perfectly. For me, paced nicely, but I'm fairly sure there were people out there who will have problems with the pacing here. I would imagine if you're science fiction fans and you like to go into science fiction films with a little bit more glitz and glamour, and a little bit more, special effects thrown at you on the screen, you're probably likely to be maybe disappointed here. Like I say, it's a much more grounded approach here, and it's quite a thought-provoking science fiction film in a lot of ways, and I like that, generally speaking. So I thought it nailed it from that aspect for me. It's heartbreaking. There are some heartbreaking scenes in this film, from the aspect of him trying to seek answers. I mean, he's constantly pestering people in the film in regards to sort of the police, which you would do as a parent, trying to get answers from the police, but also off his own back, he's like going to see teachers that were the last person to see her. His daughter's school friends, and he almost becomes a stalker himself. He's trying to seek these answers because he can't get them. And there's a nice little drama. I mean, essentially how this machine works is you take your DNA and you put it in the machine, and that allows you to make that link to the person on the other side. And he's constantly trying to communicate with his daughter. So he's left that dangle of carrot because he can't communicate with his daughter. So he's assuming she's obviously still alive. But there's a nice little twist in the film that explains all that sort of thing. And I won't spoil it if you're going to watch this film. But I thought that was handled really carefully as well. I thought really cleverly. So yeah, I think for the most part, the structure of the film really works. The pacing for me worked. The story worked. The writing worked. The direction worked. The performances by everybody worked. And then I think at the end, it kind of went a little bit too, like I say, timey-wimey, Back to the Future-ish. And I kind of lost my way with the film a little bit by the end. But I mean, it's definitely watchable. This film it's nicely put together, and it's a clever, intelligent science fiction film that does raise some interesting questions. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's nice. It's a nice film that's worth watching if you guys are like a good intellectual science fiction film. Definitely want to keep your eye out when it's released in a couple of months. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you like this review. I will be back with plenty more content on the channel very, very soon.